Hi, I'm Heather,
I'm Ramsey.
and this is Lillee,
And Kluane.
and together we are Paradise on Pennies. We wanted to give you guys a video today to sort of introduce ourselves. We have a lot of fans and followers out there that we've never actually personally met, and we're really thankful to have you guys joining along with our journey. So we thought we'd kind of make a little meet us video so you can get to know us a little better. So since we can't physically meet you, you can meet us on this video. And maybe someday we'll be able to meet up for a hike or something.
Yep.
So, all right. Why don't you go first?
Alright. She said I'm Ramsey. I was born in northeast Iowa in a small town. My parents owned a nice plot of land on the edge of town, so I got to spend a lot of time outdoors enjoying that and not having to do the city life. So I did a lot of that when I was really young. As I got older, of course, you start going to school and you get the peer pressure of wanting to do other things. And I never was a big fan of that, so I ended up getting a job at age 15. And I worked pretty much through high school, so I didn't really have to deal too much with that. And when I graduated, I still didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I just continued my career with the store I was working at. As I worked, I decided I just wanted to work my way up in their company and maybe just be a manager at it. But they were only Iowa based, so I had to pretty much make the decision of if I wanted to spend the rest of my life in Iowa and make good money and have a cushioned life, or move and kind of throw myself into the wind and see where it goes. And I always wanted to move to Colorado, and so I went and visited a couple times, and I really loved it there. So after 12 years at my company, I decided to quit and move out to Colorado, and that turned out to be the scariest thing I ever did, but it was the best decision of my life. It wasn't. Once I moved out there, I realized it was definitely the best place for me. I was able to do everything that I enjoyed. It was right in my backyard, so it really didn't matter what I was doing for work. I was pretty much in my vacation spot, so I saved a lot of time and a lot of money, and I was happy every time I got off work. And my job was great still. I got paid less, but in the long run, it totally outweighed the cons of living in Iowa. So that's my story on how I got to Colorado.
Stop there. So, uh, I'm Heather, and I was born on the East Coast. I was actually born in Pennsylvania, and my family moved around quite a bit, but all east of the Continental Divide. So I got to go to places like Tennessee and Missouri, and we spent a lot of my childhood in Pennsylvania. Um, and I went to undergraduate school in Pennsylvania as well. And then we also, when I was younger, we did also do a family vacation that took me to Colorado and the Grand Canyon. So I got a glimpse of that, and I would never forget the scene of the Rocky Mountains when you come through Kansas and you see them. It was like a painting in the sky, and that was inspiring. I was pretty young though, so again, time goes by, I got older, and once I graduated from undergrad, I always had a love of travel and I guess animals or nature. But as I got older, the idea of success kind of took over, right? Our classic society, what you do, go to school, get a job, make money, be successful. So I got a little distracted on that path. And after that, I moved to Florida, where I took on various jobs, and I finished a master's degree, and I was in the business track, and then at some point it kind of clicked that something was bugging me. I wasn't quite on my authentic path, and so it took me a little while. But then I started working towards more who I was and what I wanted out of life. So when I started down that path, I found actually did a graduate program in biogeosciences, and I loved it. I love the field. I really the application and what we're doing now is fantastic. It's what I'm passionate about. I did that, and then I also started teaching, and I also love doing that. So that was great. But along that journey, I also found myself and had to change where I was. So that led me out of Florida, and I had to make a big move away from family, friends, pretty much everyone and everything I knew, which somewhat similar to Ramsey's story. That was pretty scary. That was probably one of the scariest moments in my life, just leaving everything I knew and almost starting over. But following my heart was a part of that. So I ended up. I lived in California a little bit, and then I ended up in Colorado, which was my ultimate goal. So Colorado was, again, I wanted to be outdoors. I wanted to be closer to what I loved. I wanted to work in a field that was environmental conservation, geoscience is something like that, and teaching was a big part of that journey as well. So I loved that, and I met Ramsey in Colorado, and so we were both on this journey together, on this path of finding our authentic selves, and we really believe that once you start to find your true self, only then can you really find the right person for you. And so when we met, it was like, kind of sparks flew, but it was instant connection, and it was an authentic relationship that developed and blossomed quickly. So.
Yeah, we both had to make the scariest decision and pretty much leave everything you knew and everyone you knew to go find yourself, and that's what we both did, and we ended up finding each other, and we hit it off right away, and we did a lot of traveling within the first 6 months at least.
Yeah, we traveled a lot. We went to lots of places. There were a few places I'd seen that I wanted to show him, and then there were a few new places that I just, had on my list that I wanted to see, and one of those was Crater Lake, and that was the first time we'd both seen that. It was amazing, and then there were a few others. So, and along those lines, I really believe that most people, if you're trying to get to that goal or get to that authentic self, most of it's going to entail some sort of big leap. Or fall or change in your life, and it's scary, but it's totally worth it from my perspective, because where we're at now is just a free, happy life, and it's amazing. And every day just brings us more and more adventure and joy. So something to think about. But anyway, along with our story, so we were still living in Colorado. Again, did a lot of traveling and just really exploring life, and then we decided that we wanted to actually live on the road, and this was our first little experiment with the whole idea of leaving jobs and living on the road and just doing what you want on a kind of full-time basis.
Yeah, we knew we wanted to find a house somewhere up in Montana or Idaho and wanted to homestead. That was our big goal, but she was a teacher, so she had the summer off anyways, and my job really wasn't that important, so I could leave at any time, and so she wanted just to take the summer off and just travel, so we decided the easiest way and the most we can get out of it was just to live on the road and live in our car. So it's pretty much what we did for 6 months last year, and it turned out way better than what we expected, and we got to see so much, and I never even been to the West Coast, so everything was new to me, which was awesome and opened up my eyes to a lot. And then we went to Canada and Alaska and all that, and came back down, and that's when we started looking for our house, and that didn't take too long, and we found a cabin in the woods in northern Idaho. We purchased that, and we lived in that throughout the winter, which was a lot of snow, but it was relatively pretty easy.
It was a fun experience.
And we learned a lot, which we never bought a house before, and we never really owned a house before, so we learned a lot of important issues and things along that time. But over the winter, we both kind of discussed it, and we both really weren't ready for the stresses of having a house yet. We more wanted to keep traveling and hiking and backpacking and all that stuff. So
yeah, we really wanted freedom, and it's hard to have freedom when you own a house. First off, if you're paying it off, that's a whole financial stress. But even if you're not, there's still the stresses that go along with owning a home, obviously. And we were going to be working towards more of an off-grid type of home, or at least, like he said, homesteading or being as self-sustainable as possible. So we were doing a lot of the hard work, I guess, checking our own wood, and growing a garden. And we went down that path, and it was great. It was fulfilling work, but it also took away from the ability to travel.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just the mental, financial freedoms that we didn't have. And we're not really stuff people. So we didn't necessarily get that much out of just having a bunch of stuff. So life on the road means that we get to be more minimalist and not have to worry about stuff, but worry more about experiences. So
Yeah, so we decided over the winter that we were going to sell it, so we pretty much spent the winter cleaning it up and fixing it up and adding some stuff to it and then putting it online, and we just sold it ourselves so we didn't have to deal with the real estates. And then we sold it in less than a week, so that went really well.
yeah,
And then we hit the road again, so that's pretty much kind of where we're at right now, which has been amazing. We've seen so much we've only been together for a little over
short
2 years.
yeah, short amount of time, but when you meet the right person and you're yourself, life takes off.
Yeah, we were trying to write down all the places that we've been to, and we've been to what, 30?
We've been to over 30 national parks. We've been to, I don't know, probably about 15 states or so together, plus whatever we had already done, ourselves. So it's a lot more, a good deal of the United States we've seen. Yeah, I mean, everything from oceans to mountains to deserts to, it's an incredible learning experience too. And the way that we do it is we really get out there. On some terms, we get in the middle of nowhere, and sometimes we have to cross through a city. So we're kind of seeing everything.
Yep.
So we're
Good,
taking
the bad.
Yeah, the bad and the good. But yeah, we're learning a lot. So we've been to Alaska. We've been all through Western Canada, which is gorgeous, and we'll be spending a lot more time there shortly. But yeah, it's been incredible. I guess since you're meeting us, if you want a quick idea of who we are, aside from our background stories, we'd probably fit more with the idea of minimalists. Again, it's somewhat by choice, somewhat forced, and when you're living in your SUV, we're kind of the van life people in a sense, except we're doing it in a Ford Escape, so we're living in our great escape. But with that, you can't have a lot of stuff. And you can only really choose mostly functional stuff. So we did a whole video that talks about that too, how we chose what we bring. And a lot of it's more food, water, shelter type stuff. So minimalist, environmentalists, we probably fit in that group to an extent.
Hippie tree hugger.
Yeah, we kind of fit the hippie, like the true hippie definition. I mean, we really care about the planet. We find just so much beauty everywhere, and it gives you a great appreciation for what's out there. And also a need to protect what we have. So, yeah. What are some other? We're backpackers. We love hiking and backpacking. We love hiking to summits or passes.
Yeah.
We really like the pass hikes. We really like finding things. Again, we're budget. We do this all on a budget. So, free activities, free hobbies. Which hiking fits, but we don't really pay a lot. So stuff that we'll share in our videos and on the website will be things that you can do for free, things that you can do to avoid crowds. There's a lot of popular places, locations, hikes out there. We mostly avoid those popular ones unless it's really something to see. We'll avoid it because it's just, again, we don't like the crowded and the pricey stuff. But we still have seen incredible stuff. Some of it more incredible than the things you pay for.
Yeah, a lot of times we just spend most of the day reading. We're just reading a book now just on the ABCs of nature and just kind of the basics of everything on nature. It starts with like the earth, and then it goes into plants, and then it goes into animals, and it just tells you little bits about each thing, and it makes everywhere you go more memorable and more amazing because you know how everything grows and why they grow that way and how they pollinate and the seeds and everything. It just makes everything seem more connected, which it is, but it makes you think about it a lot more and appreciate it.
Every time we go to a place, a park or a site, we will read a book or an article about the background, the geology and the history of the place, and then we'll go see it. And again, like he said, it's just a more enriching experience when you do that because you're like, wow, this is how this formed, and this is why people found it valuable, or just whatever the background is. It's incredible. So yeah. We're readers. Amateur photography, we like playing around with that. We've still got some stuff to learn, but yeah, taking pictures of these amazing, you can't help yourself when you go to these places. So we'll get the camera out, and we're starting to do some night sky photography too, and have some work to do there, but it's so much fun. I mean, the stars that we've seen when we get out, you know, as far away from a city as you can in these dark sky locations,
It's the most amazing thing.
incredible. We've seen meteor showers. Sometimes we've seen some that are huge in the sky that just, you know, take your breath away. So, yeah, it's been amazing. But
That's probably a good intro for you.
That's who we are in a nutshell.
If you guys want to know anything else about us, just leave us a comment, and we'll get back to you. Otherwise, we'll probably do another video, go maybe a little more in depth. But for now,
that's us in a nutshell. And I guess it was nice to meet some of you out there, and thank you for following along our journey and maybe being inspired by our stories. And stay with us, and
happy trails.
Yeah.
See you
Bye.
next time.